Hello there, Andy Clark here again, and this time I want to have a look at some of the useful customizations we can make to Inspiration in order to make it more suitable for individual users. The reason why we might want to do this is because one-size-fits-all t-shirts don't fit everyone, and the factory defaults for Inspiration probably won't either. Firstly, I'd like to start with some basics, which you may or may not already use every day. Ensuring that your diagram is clearly visible is all about size and placement. We have our buttons at the bottom here for zoom in and zoom out, so we can zoom out and zoom in, and we also have the auto feature where we can click on this one and it will center it in the middle of our page. But there can be other times where we might want to use this to get greater flexibility, and one of the key things that I tend to teach users to use is the mouse scroll wheel and the control key. By using these two together, we can zoom in and zoom out like so, very quickly and easily. And I just want to show you how we can use this with a larger map so that we can move in and out on certain sections quickly. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and I'm going to just do a quick rapid fire. There we go. And I'm going to select one of these and rapid fire over here. Okay, now as you can see already, we've got lots of symbols on the page. I'm just going to control the scroll wheel back a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select a few of these. Notice I can use the shift key and the left click button to multiple select items, and then I'm going to move these out to one side. Going to zoom out a bit and move them out to one side like so. Perhaps move that a bit closer. And then over here, I'll take another one of these, move it out over here, and perhaps rapid fire over here too. Okay. So what I can do now is when nothing is selected, so no symbols are selected, if I control and scroll wheel backwards and forwards, it will just scroll in and out, zoom in and out upon the central point of this map. However, if I scroll back and click on an individual symbol and control and scroll, it will zoom in on that one. Zoom back, click over here, zoom in over here. Okay, so one of the nice things about this is that it now means it's very easy to move from one part of a map to another. Just control scroll out, click and control scroll in, and you've moved from one side of the map to another, and that means that you can look at parts of a map in isolation. So you can deal in one of the first videos we looked at ideas generation, where we were looking at combining two symbols together and asking questions about them, how they might relate to each other, something like correlation analysis, if you've ever done anything like that before. And one of the nice things about this is that we can move things in separation to one side and quickly zoom in and zoom out on them. Okay, I'm going to quickly close this map, and we'll start a new one. In the article, we were talking about specific learning difficulty, so I want to have a look at some of the customizations we can make for this group of users in particular. The first thing I want to have a look at is white space. A large proportion of people I've worked with that experience dyslexia have visual stress issues. Large amounts of white space on the screen can be uncomfortable. I dislike it intensely myself, especially for sustained period, and I personally would never work on white paper in programs such as Microsoft Word, and as such the same would go for Inspiration. So changing the background color can be very useful. The menu option for this is actually in the effect menu here, and it's background color, or you can simply right click anywhere in the white space, choose background color and drop a color like so. This makes it much easier on the eye, and if anybody is experiencing visual stress, they won't be overwhelmed by such large amounts of white space on a simple diagram. Personally, I choose soft oranges and purples, but that's my personal preference. But of course you can simply right click background color and choose whatever color works well for you. The use of pictures within a diagram can be very powerful, and Inspiration has a good selection of clip art which you can access through the symbol library and also the search feature. Symbol library is over here, and the search facility you can just click in here. So anything I type in here, if I was looking for a smile, press enter and I'll get a range of pictures back. Over the years, I've often customized symbol libraries, and so I was surprised when talking to colleagues that it was a feature that they didn't use often themselves. I thought it might be useful just to take a quick look at the library features in Inspiration and just to see if they can be helpful for you. Firstly, editing a library is different to simply adding a graphic to a diagram. You can do this at any point by just hitting the Edit menu and saying Insert Graphic. Just select any picture that you may have on your system. For instance, if I've got one on the desktop here, there's a picture of me, and there I am, I'm inside my diagram. Just remove that just for safety. I don't want to put anybody off. But actually creating a new library can be effective in being able to group symbols or pictures together. So what I want to do now is just have a look at that. Adding a new symbol library can be done either by going to the Utility menu and choosing New Symbol Library, or by using the drop down and choosing New Symbol Library here. So I'm just going to give it a simple name. Now I know I've got some Harry Potter covers somewhere, so I'm just going to call it Harry Potter. And then once I've done that, it's created a new library for me. All I now do is I go back to the same place and go to Edit Symbol Libraries, and you'll see that because there's only one, the most recent has been added, it's selected this and automatically placed it here. At this point, I can now import graphics. So if I go back to my Harry Potter, there we go, and I can choose any of these, and I can choose standard symbol size. I can then import these graphics one by one into my symbol library. There we go. And then once I've finished, I can say OK. And if I go now back to my libraries, I can find that Harry Potter has been selected. I can go back to any of the ones there, but you always find them in custom libraries, Harry Potter. And now I can add these directly to my diagram, like so. Some quick housekeeping notes now. You can remove libraries by opening a File Explorer window and going to Program Data. Well, let me bring it up for you. Here we go, this is it here. We can remove libraries quite simply and easily by going to Program Data on your hard drive, so that'll be on your C drive, your main installation drive, Inspiration, Libraries, and then Custom Libraries. And here you can see here we've got the Harry Potter one I've just created and the dates there. If you wanted to remove Harry Potter, we can click on it and delete it. Obviously I'd recommend you closing Inspiration before doing this. It might not like you doing it on the fly. But it can be useful if you demonstrate these features regularly, either as an assessor or trainer. It takes seconds to remove them completely from Inspiration and it doesn't clutter up the system. Just be careful that you don't require any of these symbols in any maps you may have saved on the system. For assessment and training purposes, this isn't typically a problem. The final area I want to have a look at today is looking at the default settings of Inspiration. The reason why we might want to do this is it can be very helpful when an individual prefers a certain font type, spacing, colour, and also boldness. And where we're going to go to the Utility menu and go down to Default Settings. So here, what we can do, we can reset them. This is useful if I do this a lot when I'm changing it for students that I'm working with. I'll go back and reset it once I've finished. But what we're going to do is going to modify the current default settings. So here, this is where you can start to influence the default template for Inspiration. So for instance, the fill colour at the moment is this quite bright blue. For me personally, I would like something more pale than that. I'd go for a nice orangey colour. And also, I might want to change my font. Now, there's lots of different fonts, obviously installed on Windows. Comic Sans, for instance, is recommended by the British Dyslexia Association, so you may have come across that a few times. So I'm just going to select Comic Sans. There we go, and say OK. So my default map now will have, diagram will have symbols that look like this. I can then go on and change how the lines between each one works. Also, the font which exists along the text line, I can change along the link line. I can change that. Let's keep it as Arial. That's fine. And then I can go to my notes. Changing how my notes appear. Personally, I don't like very bright colours, so I'm just going to reduce this down a little bit, and I'm going to have a nice little, perhaps not quite so dark as that around the outline. There we go. And for the font, I'm going to have something with a bit more spacing, so I'm going to go for Verdana. Verdana is America's favourite font. Microsoft did a survey a few years ago, and it's got quite a nice horizontal spacing. It's got a little bit more spacing between the letters, which can make it quite a little bit easier on the eye for certain users. Say next. And now this one actually explains how this is going to be sent out to Microsoft Word when we send our outline through into another program. So I'm just going to change that again. I'm going to go for Verdana. 12 points fine, and I'm not so keen on Roman numerals, and in fact I'll more than often go for bullets, simply because when we're doing ideas generation, we're often just throwing things in as we think about them, so they might not have an order to them, so I might not want to have them strictly numbered. It may be easier for them just to be bulleted, so I can move those around later, so I can give the emphasis on the areas that I want to look at myself. And then at the end I can choose how this is going to be sent into my program. So typically I would remove the diagram when I send it into a word processor, each to their own. And then I'm just going to finish there. Okay, so now once there we go. It's made some nice changes for me. So now when I start a new map, you can see that I've got Comic Sans, and I've got the colours that I want. If I want to add a note to that, you'll see that my note choices have been made in Verdana. And let's just rapidify that. There we go, just a few things around there. And then if I look at my outline, you'll see my outline has changed, and when I transfer that to my word processor, I haven't saved it. There we go. Let's bring this so you can actually see it. There we go. And so it's actually broken it down exactly how I want it with bullet points. So personally, I always prefer to go into the default settings and just make those as suitable as possible for the individual I'm working with. Personally, I think it works very, very well, and to customize it, especially that background feature, background color, and then just drop another color on the background to remove that white space. That's something that I do pretty much all the time now. Okay, I hope that that's been helpful, and it concludes the video for today, and hopefully I shall see you again sometime. Okay, thank you. Bye bye now.